From the moment I knew that I was carrying you, I loved you. I wanted you. I desired to see your pretty face. You have always been the apple of my eye. I would also make sure that I ate right, that I took care of myself so that you would be healthy. I loved you, and everybody else loved you because Mommy loved you. Mommy wanted you. You have been Mommy's special boy ever since. Mommy has wonderful thoughts about you. And Mommy trusts in the Lord that has brought you into our lives. You're a blessing. You're wanted. You're loved. You're embraced, Prosper. Need I remind you that God has good thoughts about you? Thoughts not to harm you. Thoughts to prosper you. Thoughts to give you a hope and a future. So every day you open your pretty eyes, remember that you are loved by our Lord Jesus, number one, by Mommy, by the whole family, and everyone who comes across you. Need I remind you that you grow handsome on a daily basis, and every day you look more handsome than the previous one? You're precious in our lives. May the Lord keep you prosper. May I remind you that divine health is yours through our Lord Jesus Christ. Whenever we see you smile, even though we know that you are in pain, we are strengthened to continue praying for you. We are strengthened to love you more. We are strengthened to keep on to looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. Prosper, I love you.
I first met Prosper when my sister was pregnant. It was like a miracle to me. I'd never seen anything like it. For me, it was so exciting. I remember when I found out, it really was amazing. And I used to enjoy watching how he would kick. And I was so blessed to be part of that experience.
My earliest memory is I remember coming back from school one day. I think it was, maybe I was in grade 11. I remember coming back from school with my nephew. Could have been around test time or something of that sort. But then I do remember the first time we walked in through the gate, and I heard this cry in the bedroom. You know, everyone was home. My brother was home. I think my older sister was home as well. My eldest sister was home, and you know, I was quite excited to hear this new addition to the family, because for a very long time we had been anticipating this bundle of joy that was coming in to this family, you know. And there's just a magic about it that is unexplainable, you know, when you actually have that kind of experience in a family. It's like everything is complete. So I remember walking in and hearing that cry and running to the house. I think I ran, and then my nephew followed me after he closed. And then when we came in, my mother was like, no, you can't go in there. But somehow we just knew that there was a beautiful boy who just been born. And lo and behold, when we finally did get around to see him, he was the most amazing human being that we'd laid eyes on. in a long time. It's magic, you bond with this being that you are not even aware, Uguti, what are they gonna look like, what are they gonna sound like. You just know that they're human, and the process of pregnancy, it just captivates you. So I've always been that way with all my nieces and nephews who were close by anyway during the pregnancy. But with him it was more precious because I got to really spend time around him because you guys were around more. And we bonded. I think I also did try to play him some music. I'm not sure. Me being me, yeah.
My name is Spongile Mufokeng, born Spongile Malulega. I got married to the Mufokeng family in 2005, December the 17th. And in February, towards the end of it, I found out that I was expecting. That pregnancy didn't last long. We lost it. I remember how my ex-husband and I cried when we lost that pregnancy. We were not ready for a child, but when we lost that one, the pain was real. And so we didn't even think about trying again. The next thing we know, we were expecting again. We thought it was going to be a girl. We called her Success. And we were looking forward to having Success. She was going to have braided hair, long afro. And we would decorate her with ponytails and all of that, colorful ponytails. We were looking forward to that, but God had another plan. When Prosper came, it was an interruption. We were not ready for it. He came unexpectedly. He came when I was preparing myself to further my studies. He came when the father was furthering his studies. But Prosper came. It wasn't an easy pregnancy, it was a difficult one, but God was good. I lacked a lot of hemoglobin. I lacked a lot of calcium and iron as well. So I had many tablets, but Prosper came. Through all that difficulty, Prosper came. And when he came, he was dark-skinned. I thought that I had a dark DDT. I thought that my son will be a dark, handsome young man. But when they brought him back to me, he was light-skinned, pink, like every newborn baby. And that got me worried. But I took him home with me. He was the most handsome boy I've ever seen. Before Prosper was born, I saw his face. I knew what kind of boy to expect. And so when they brought this handsome little cute baby to me, I wasn't surprised. He was exactly the way I saw him. My son is 13 years old. God is so good. The doctors never believed, or the medical world never believed, that my son would get to that age. And they still don't believe that he will make it through puberty. But I am delighted that he's in my life. My life has changed. My life is better with him in it. I am blessed. I am a blessed mom, and my family is also blessed to have Prosper. My labor took 18 hours. I started having contractions around 12 midnight. And I was at home with my mom. So we woke up, drove to Sunnyside at the flat where we used to stay with my ex-husband. And we collected him and we went to the hospital. My mom left us there that night. And we spent the whole night at the hospital, and Prosper didn't come. But when I was 8 centimeters dilated, I was rushed into the labor room to start pushing. It was around 1 or after 1 during the day. And I remember this because my colleagues then, my colleagues at Gospel Gold did call because they needed assistance on something. And so they called. And when they called, my mom answered my phone and said, I'm with my husband at the hospital and I'm about to push. And so I think they missed that part where she said, I'm about to push. And they called Prosper's father, who was not happy with the call because I was pushing, and Prosper never came. I struggled until 6:10 when Prosper came. And now the nurses around me and the doctor who was there, they were talking about forceps, they were talking about suctioning, and I felt I'm not going to have forceps and suctioning done on me. My son is going to come the natural way. When Prosper came, he came like in the movies. He never came head first and then the shoulders and the rest of the body. No, he flew out because I pushed so hard that he flew out. And he landed. And I saw that he was dark-skinned. He was so black, as in like pitch black, but so handsome. And I thought, I have a black DDT. Well, I had questions later on. As any mother, I had questions later on when autism, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, when he was diagnosed with that. I asked the doctors if there's any possibility or any connection with what happened when he was delivered, because I realized that my son had suffered loss of oxygen, but the doctors said no. But I realized in the first few months that he had tummy issues. We would be rushed to the hospital with an ambulance more than once because he couldn't pass his stools and he would vomit. He was even younger than 2 months, even younger than 3 months. We were at the hospital and they would put him in drips, trying to help him and help us so that all is well with him. He would lose a lot of water as well and electrolytes. But I thought it was one of those. And he would wake us up at night. And then Prosper grew up and he was such an awesome baby. He learned how to talk quickly. As he was crawling, he learned how to say his uncle's nickname and his aunt's nickname. So he would say Fezzi, Zizi, he would say that. But it all stopped when he was 1 year and 10 months.
¿Qué es camo? ¿Qué kemer? ¿Qué kudla?
And Prosper was still crawling by then. He could walk, but he preferred to crawl. And I didn't understand what was happening then, because he could walk, but he didn't want to walk on his own. He would only walk if somebody was holding his hand or if he was holding onto furniture around the house, so he would walk. If you would leave his hand, Prosper would decide to sit down and he wouldn't walk any longer. And so after mumbling the baby language and calling the aunt, pointing at himself, pointing at things, he stopped all of that. He stopped pointing, he stopped talking, he stopped crying. It was so scary. He changed, and he was silent.
2006, I moved away. When I left, if I remember correctly, Prosper was starting to learn to walk. If I remember correctly, like I said, my details are sketchy a bit. And I came back and Prosper was attached to my brother's orange shirt. And my sister, Prosper's mom did not want to allow that. I think that's when she started to realize there was something wrong. But most of us were in denial about it. If anything, we did not want to believe that anything was of concern. And so we do not allow her to also believe that anything needed to be checked out. But he was already starting to vocalize people's names. And then at some point, apparently, he stopped.
He was very bright. No lie about it. He was so bright that sometimes it was scary. He caught on to things very quickly. I remember this one time I was having a sandwich, cornflaking, and it was one of those days I don't think I had gone to school during that time. So he comes to me at the foot of the couch there. And I had my bread there, and he had this thing where he liked to take my food. So he comes up, and then he reaches over, and I remember actually shaking my head just playfully, just like. And then he looked at me with this smile. I gave him a piece of the bread. He looked at me with this mischievous smile, and he basically just started doing the same thing. I was surprised because it was the first time I ever saw him mimicking me. And then with time I started seeing a lot more of that, like with all the other experiences I had with him. If I'd be sleeping longer than I should because I was up all night doing my production and schoolwork and whatnot, he would wake me up. If I didn't wake up, he would chill in bed with me until I woke up. You know, he was very, 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 very present in my time at the flat, and I think that's also something that strengthened the bond.
And he started holding on to an orange t-shirt that his uncle had. We stayed with his uncle Fezega in the house, whom we called Fezi. And so he started holding on to Fezi's t-shirt, and he would run around the house with the t-shirt, moving from that place to the other, you know, having a rhythm on a daily basis. And I decided, let's take him to my mom's place. Maybe he needs a change of scenario. So we took him to my mom's house, where he stayed for like 2 weeks, and he started improving, I must say. He started mumbling a language that I didn't even understand, that he still continues to do even now. And we went back to the flat, but still Prosper was not like really walking on his own. So we went to have him immunized by his pediatrician, and soon the pediatrician realized that Prosper had a low muzzle tone. But he said, if Prosper is not walking in 2 weeks, please bring him back. And I decided to go home, and I said to Prosper, you'll be walking in 2 weeks, you'll be running, and we are not going back to that doctor. And yes, in 2 weeks, Prosper was walking and he was running pretty much. And I was celebrating, but Prosper was not talking. We went to the doctor again for immunization, and the doctor said, no, I asked the doctor, isn't he supposed to be talking by now? And the doctor said, boys sometimes are delayed, so don't worry, he will catch up. The doctor said, when he's 3 years old, bring him back to me, and we will see, we'll take it from there. And yes, when he was 3, we went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, now it needs specialists because he should be talking by now. So he sent us to Kalafong, where we started our new journey.
Boro